What's up guys, it's Destiny and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I want to be showing you guys how to build a fully functional Google clone using Django. And the front end part of this course was made by Desphixs. Check him out on LinkedIn, he's pretty good at front end devs. So you want to see more entertaining and educating videos like this, to make sure to drop a like on this video and do not forget to subscribe, as it to mean the world to me. Now let's roll the intro. Firstly, in order to start building this project, you need to install the basic libraries that you need. For example, we need Django, we need requests, we need LXML, and Beautiful Soup. So let's go ahead and open up our command prompt. So we open our command prompt, we're on a Windows. If you're on a Mac, you open up your terminal, and that's pretty much what we need. So in here, it's very easy. Firstly, we'll make a directory where we're going to put all our projects. So I'm going to name this Google Clone 2, just like this, and I'll go into this project. So I'll cd into the projects just like this. Okay, that's not the one I want to cd into. I want to cd into clone 2. So this is the one I want to cd into. Now in here, the next thing you want to do is make a virtual environment. So I'd highly recommend use a virtual environment when making this video. And in order to make a virtual environment, it's as easy as saying pi-m vnv, and the next argument that you're going to put in is what you want the name of your virtual environment to be. In my case, I want to leave it as venv. So just give it a couple seconds and it should load up. And as you can see, it's successfully loaded up the virtual environment. Now the next thing I want to do is go ahead and activate it. So I'll say venv /scripts, and take note the script is with a capital letter S /activate.parts. And if you're on a Mac, you want to check the description below to get how to install a virtual environment and how to activate it if you're on a Mac. But if you're on Windows, you are good. Let's continue. So in here, the next thing I want to do is go ahead and install Django. So I'll just say pip install Django, and you want to make sure you have an active internet connection. If you want to do this, then you hit enter, and let's give this some seconds, and it should go ahead and install Django. So as you can see, we successfully installed Django. Now the next thing we want to install is requests. So we'll say pip install requests like this, and let's give this a second or two, and it should successfully install requests. Then after this, the next one we want to install is Beautiful Soup. So in order to do this, you just want to open up your browser. Just open up any browser that you're using, and you want to type out Beautiful Soup, and it's going to bring you to this place over here. So you just want to click on this to copy to the clipboard, or you could just hard code it. It's pip install Beautiful Soup 4, then you hit enter, and let's give this some seconds and it should successfully install. Now after this, the final one we want to install is LXML. So we say pip install LXML. Okay, and that's pretty much all we need. Now we have the four libraries that we'll be using in this course. We want to go ahead and check if everything's successfully installed. You just want to say pip freeze, and it should open up the list of all the libraries that we have now. For example, you can see Django, you can see Beautiful Soup, request, and LXML. So we want to go ahead and create a Django project. And in order to do that, it's easier saying Django-admin, then start projects. Now the next argument it's going to take is what you want the name of your project to be. In my case, we could just name it anything. Let's say we want to name it Google Clone PRJ, and we hit enter. So it's created the project. Now let's go into the project. So we'll cd into it, and in here we want to make an app. So if you have a basic knowledge about Django, you should know what apps are in Django and all that. But if you don't, just follow along with what I'm doing here, and you should have your own Google clone in a matter of minutes. So let's go ahead and start doing. So I want to say Python manage.py start app, and I want to name this app Search, just like this. So it's successfully created everything. Now what we want to do is go ahead and open up an IDE or a code editor that I'll be using. In my case, I'll be using the PyCharm IDE. You could use a Visual Studio Code, Atom, or Sublime Text, whatever you want to use. It's totally cool, but I'll be using PyCharm in this course. So you want to come over to File, and you want to open the projects that were created. So this is it over here, and you want to click on OK. Yeah, I want to open it over here. So it's successfully opened over here. The next thing I want to go ahead and do is to start routing our URLs. And before we do that, let's go ahead and run our development server and see if everything is working fine. So in here, you want to cd into the project. So I'll say cd into 2, and it says the system cannot specify the path, so we cd into the project not to prj. Now we cd into that, and I want to run our development server, so we say python manage.py, so we say python manage.py, then we run server just like this, and as you can see, it successfully installed Django. Now the next thing I want to do is go ahead and route some URL, and we are seeing this page over here because we have no URLs configured. For example, if you take a close look at this, you see that in your settings.py you have no URLs configured. That's why we are saying this over here. Now let's go ahead and open up the URL file over here. So you want to come over here and open this one up in settings.py, and firstly let's install our app. So we'll say search, so you open up settings.py and you install your app in the section that says installed app. Now we can close this up, we'll still come back here, but for now we don't need it. Now you want to open up this URLs over here, and you want to import include from Django.url. So just add a comma over here and say include. So we're importing include, and what we want to use this to do is to include the URLs file that we'll be creating in this search app in about a few seconds from now. So down here you want to say path, and this path is gonna have a include, and want to include search, and that's because we'll be creating it in search, and the name of the file is going to be urls. So it's going to be created in search and it's going to be urls. So without wasting any more time, let's go ahead and do that. In here you want to right click and you want to say new and Python file, then urls, just like this. Now we have it. So the next thing you want to do is say from Django.urls import paths, just like this, and you want to say URL patterns. So we say URL patterns is equal to a list, and a list like this you just split it up. Then down here I'm gonna say paths, and we're gonna specify an empty string which is going to be for the home page. And that's why I say you should have a basic knowledge about Django before watching this tutorial, but it's still totally fine if you want to go ahead and watch it. Let's say you want to build something for yourself or whatever. So we define an empty string, and it's going to be for the home page. For example, let's say we want this to be home. That means we have to go to /home before we get our website or whatever we are using as the home page. So in here it's easier saying views dot whatever function we have defined, but we have no function yet. Let's go ahead and do that, and after we do that we'll come over here, import the functions and define it in here. So you want to open up views.py. So creating functions in Django, it's very easy. You just say def, which means that you want to define a function, and you could name this whatever. Let's say I want to name this home, and it's going to take in request as an argument. So you take in requests and not requests. So down here you could just return render, and it will take in a request, it will take in the name of your template, and the name of my template is going to be index.html, and finally it's going to take in a context, but now we are not putting a context yet in this video. So we define the function named home. Let's go ahead and copy this, come back to our search urls file. Then I want to say from dot import views. So I want to import all the views that are in here now in our urls.py, so we can define a URL for it. So the next thing I want to say is views.home, and that's because I defined it over here. So let's say I want to import let's say like I want to route a view to a function that I haven't defined. For example, let's say I have an imaginary function and the name of the function is let's say about. So if I come over here and say views.about, now what do you notice? Now there is like an underline over here, and if you come over here and check out what the error is, it says cannot find reference about in views.py. So all these are very easy and self-explanatory. Now it can't find about in views.py over here. Now look for the functions. There's home, there is no about. But how do we change this to about and come over to search.urls? Now you see the error is resolved, but for here we want to stick with home, and here we're going to get rid of about and leave it as home. Then you could give this a name if you want. It's not necessarily needed, but let's just go ahead and give it a name, and we're going to name this home. So this is pretty much all we need. Now let's go ahead and create our template. So Django templates are very easy. Firstly, you need to create a templates folder in your root directory. Now how do you know your root directory? Your root directory is where your manage.py file is, and this is it over here. So it's in this it's in this directory over here. So you just right click and you say new directory, and we're gonna name this templates, just like this. Now our templates are gonna be in here, but before we go ahead and put our templates in here, we want to go to our settings.py and configure our templates. So let's go and do that. So you open up your settings.py, and this is it over here. You open up your settings.py and you want to come over to this one that says dirls in the template section. So the first thing we need to do is say os.paths.join, but before we do that, let's come over here and import os at the top of our file. We're gonna say import os, just like that. Very easy. Now down here in the template section, I want to say os.paths.join, and I want to join the base directory. So I'm joining the base directory and the templates folder that I created. It's very easy. os.paths.join, I join the base directory and the templates folder that I created over here. So that's pretty much all we need to do here for the templates. We are still going to come back here, but for now let's close it up. So in the templates folder, we want to go ahead and put in the templates that we'll be using, and in this course we'll be using a template that was designed by a very good friend of mine, Festus, and he made the front end while I'll be working on the back end. So let's go over and bring in this template in here. So it's over here on my desktop in this folder. So I'll just copy this and this. So we just copy this, then we come over to our PyCharm in here, and we're gonna right click and click on paste. So it brings up this pop-up. We just click on OK. So now as you can see, it gets pasted in here. Let's go ahead and close it up. We are not here working with it. We just want to see how things look when we are done routing our template. So open up your terminal and let's see if our development server is still working, and sure, it's definitely still working. Now what we want to do is come over to views, and we want to change this index.html to home.html. If you take a close look, you'll see that the name of the template over here is home.html, not index. So we just change this to home. So with all this working, it should be working fine. We'll come over here and refresh, and as you can see, we have this really nice looking font. We have this really nice looking front end over here that was designed by Festus, and you could go ahead and check out his LinkedIn handle. It's down here. Just click on this link over here and it will take you directly to his LinkedIn handle. So the next thing we want to do is go ahead and start working with some basic things I want to do before we start working with the big large ones that we'll be doing in this video. Okay, now that we are done configuring the URLs and all that, we want to go ahead and start using inputs to collect the terms that the users are inputting for a search. For example, a user comes over here to the front end and input some, like let's say Desphixs or whatever, politics, and so want to collect whatever a user inputs here, then use it to do some really fun things. Let's go ahead and start doing that. So firstly, in our home.html, we're gonna come over and look for the place that has this section, that has this input section and this buttons over here. So let's just scroll down and it should be somewhere here. So this is over here. Now what I want to do is add a form tag. Now what I want to do is wrap all this in a form tag and impute some really nice attributes to the form tags. Firstly, let's go ahead and define a form tag, and this is going to have an action that will be sent to search. So this action over here, just leave it as search, and it's going to have a method. So this method is going to have posts, just like this. Now I want to come over here and end of this stuff here. So we just end off the form just here like this, and everything is looking really fine. Now we still have to come over to our search.html. Now our search.html would be where all our search results will be displayed. So our home.html is this over here. Our search.html will be where all our codes will be, where all our results would be displayed. So in here, I still want to wrap this up with form. Let's come over here and look for it. So this is it. I want to wrap it up with form. So we wrap it up with form. The view is going to be sent to search, and the method is going to be posts. As easy as that, the method is going to be post. Now we could just copy this and let's end it off here. Now I want to indent this so it comes in here just like this. Okay, and everything is looking really fine now. So we want to go ahead and add what are called CSRF tokens in Django. So if you're using a post method in Django, you want to add what is called CSRF token to help check for security and all that. So it's like a compulsory, like a convention to use CSRF token when you're working with post methods in Django. So you just open up two curly brackets with percent signs in them, and you say csrf underscore token, just like that, and everything should work totally fine. Now we could copy this, come over to our home.html and paste it just below the form tag, just like this, and everything should work really fine. And you want to make sure that the button over here, the type is submit, and in search.html the button, the type is submit. So that's pretty much all we need to do. Let's go over to our views.py and start working with some basic functions there. So in our views.py, I want to define a function that's going to be for the search. So this function is going to work with all the searches and all that, twerk it around, get URLs, get results and all that. So let's go ahead and start doing this. Maybe you understand what it does in a few minutes from now. So we say define search, and this is going to take in a request, and there's going to be a semicolon at the back, and we want to return just simple return simple render, and it's going to take in request, and finally it's going to take in search.html, which is this one over here. So this is going to be what the search page is going to be using to display all the web results. So it's very easy. Now let's route a URL for it. We come over to our search urls.py, just duplicate this, and you want to put in search in here. Very easy. You want to change this to home.search, as easy as that, and finally we change this name to search. Now if you go ahead and check out the terminal, you see that we should get an error. So it says invalid syntax over here, and that's because we are skipping a comma. So let's add a comma over here, and everything is gonna work totally fine. Now when we come over here and come over to /search, as you can see, we still have the same page. That's what's gonna be displaying our search results, and everything is working fine. Let's go ahead and start doing some really basic things before we go ahead and start working with some large things here. Back to our views.py, I want to check if the request.method that was used is post. So I want to check if the request.method that was used is post, and if it's post, we want to go ahead and get whatever the user imputes in here. So if it's get, we don't want to get anything, but if it's post, we want to get whatever that was imputed in here. Let's say it's broken, or let's say it's YouTube, whatever that was imputed in here, we want to get it, provided the request.method that was used was post over here. So let's say the request.method that was used here was get. Now we're not going to do anything, but since it's post, let's start doing some basic things. So we'd say if request not render, so we say if request.method is equal to post, so you space that out and say it's equal to post. Now we want to go ahead and pass in a variable, and this variable is going to be search, and search is going to be set equal to request dot method, and this method is going to get search. Take note of what we are doing, so it's gonna get search. And how are we getting the search over here? That's because it's the name that was given to this input field. Now let's go ahead and cross-check things and make sure everything is working fine. So if you take a look at the input field over here, you see that it has a type of text. Now it has a name of search. So that's why we are putting in search here. We want to get whatever search the user imputed in there. Now we want to start using what is called web scraping in Python. Now I don't know if you might have asked yourself, how are we going to get all the results that the user will be imputing? So like, for example, you are imputing YouTube. Now, how do we want to get all the results since we do not have our own search engine and all that? So that is where web scraping comes to play. So in order to use web scraping, we needed some Python libraries that we installed earlier. For example, we needed requests and beautiful soup and LXML, and we've installed all that. So let's talk about web scraping. Web scraping is getting some results of a website, or like getting all the results of a particular website and displaying it on a certain page. For example, you could get the result from Google, you could get the results from axe.com, you could get the result from yahoo.com, and we're going to display it on our own engine. But if you go to google.com and search Desphixs, now let's go over to google.com and we want to do some practical things here. So we go to google.com and let's say we are searching for Desphixs, and as you can see, it opens all this up. Now if we want to get hold of all the results that Google gave us, for example, Google gave us Desphixs YouTube, it gave us this stuff over here, it gave us some images, and it gave us the Facebook handle, the Twitter handle, and LinkedIn and all that. So how about we want to like get hold of all this information that Google gave us and like display it on our own? How do we do that? That's where web scraping comes in. So I was just looking for like a very basic word that I will use to describe it to you. And take note, web scraping is not illegal. It's a a recognized field in the programming world, but some search engines do not like their sites being scraped. For example, Google. And since they don't like their sites being scraped, we won't be scraping it in this video. But how do we now get the information about a user search term since we won't be using Google? We're supposed to scrape Google, but since they do not allow it, now how are we going to get all the results? And that's where we're going to start using x.com. So x.com is a search engine just like Google. It's pretty good. You can search for things over here and you get some really nice things. For example, let's say I want to search Kobe Bryant, and as you can see, it should give us some results. So you see it gives us some results over here. It's the same thing if you come over to Google and you search the same thing, it's going to give us the same results just like that. It's very similar. So we will be scraping x.com in this video. Now let's go back to our views.py and we want to import those. If you remember, we installed some libraries earlier. We want to go ahead and import those libraries that we installed. So in order to do that, we just say import requests and we're going to say import, or let's just say from bs4. So we say from bs4, sorry for all this, we say from bs4 import beautiful soup as bs. So this is pretty much all we need. We won't be importing lxml for now. Let's just stick with all this that we have now. So the next thing I want to do is come over to here to this place, the views.py, and I want to define a variable that's going to get the URLs. For example, you said this args.com that we used over here, this args.com, this is a URL. Now firstly, let's see if we get rid of all this and stick with Kobe. Let's see if everything is still gonna work fine, and as you can see, everything is working totally fine. So we want to take this URL over here and we're gonna set it to a URL variable that's gonna have this exact URL that we copied in here. So just follow along with everything that I'm doing, and in a moment you should get very clear to you. So we come over here, we define a string and we'll paste this in here just like this. But we don't want to get a response from this URL. Like, we need to get our own response, like our own search of whatever term we impute into this place. For now, you see that there's a Kobe over here. If you go ahead and run this file, now you're still gonna get results, or let's say you're still gonna get a response from Kobe. It's gonna give you information about Kobe, and that's because it's in here. Let's say you were searching for like Bill Gates or someone else, it's gonna give you requests about Kobe. So we're gonna get rid of this just like that. And the next thing we are going to do is come outside here and we will say plus search. So what we are doing now is, if you remember, the user imputed a search method in here that we got with the name search. So for example, let's say Bill Gates is over here. Take notice, just like for reference. So we say Bill Gates is over here, and all this was assigned to this variable search. Now we want to assign this Bill Gates to this place, so that's why we used plus search. We concatenated it together, and it's as easy as that. We just concatenate it together with a plus sign, and this search now is just Bill Gates. But now we don't want it to be like a dummy word, like one single word. We want it to be whatever the user imputes in here, and that's why we set this into search and we use this. So make sure that your code is looking like this, and in a moment we should be getting to somewhere. To get a response from the URL, we need to use get and do that. So to get a response from this URL over here, we need to use a get method to do that. And how do we do that? It's very easy. We say response is equal to request.get, and we want to get what? We want to get URL. So we want to get a response from this URL that will pass into here. And hopefully all this are making sense to you. If it's not, just do not freak out. Everything should make sense to you in a minute or so. So we want to get a response from the URL that we queried here, and that's why we're using this variable res is equal to request.get URL. It's as easy as that. Now what the rest is doing is getting a request, and when that is accomplished, it would provide us with a whole HTML page. Hopefully you understand. It gets a request about whatever we imputed in here. Now it will give us a result with the whole HTML page, just like this. Okay, in order to make this more clearer to you, let's go over to our terminal and work more in there, and maybe you should understand everything that's going on here. So I want to cd into our project, so I cd into our projects just like this. So we cd into this, and now we are in here. So I want to go ahead and run our shell. So we're going to say python manage.py, then shell, just like this. So we're in our shell. I want to go ahead and import the stuffs that we imported over here in our views.py. So you could just copy it and paste it down here, and as you can see, it's installed successfully. Now what I want to use is the request.get and see if we're going to get a response from a web page. So take note, if this shows something like the request didn't get any HTTP response, it returned none instead, that means we got nothing. But if it shows something like response, then in a list you saw something like 200 or 250, then it got a response. So let's go ahead and do that. You see the stuff over here, and we just come and copy this. So we just copy this back to our terminal. What I want to do is say requests. So I'll say requests, just like that, dot get. And take note, I think this place should be requests, like that here. So it's a request, so we say requests dot get, and we're gonna open up a parenthesis like this, open up some string in it, and in here we're gonna paste in the link that we copied over here. So just paste it in here and everything should be working fine. So hit enter and let's see what's gonna happen. So as you can see, we got response 200. That means it got a response from this link. There was no error. If there was an error, it should return like the HTTP response, something like that. Got none instead. I think it's somewhere around there. But now since it returned response is in the list of 200, that means it got no error. So let's go ahead and start working. Everything is looking really fine now. So if I say res is equal to this over here that I imported, so I just want to set it to a variable. We copy this and we paste it down here. So I just set it into a variable and it's in a variable now. So when I say res, I get the same stuff. Now I want to check the text. I want to see if it's going to give us all the HTML page. In order to do that, I want to get it as a text. So I'll say res.text, and boom, we get all this stuff over here. We've got this bunch of codes. Then if you take a close look, you see that it's got some links. As you can see, it's got some links like an NBA.com stats player, which is for Kobe, and all that. So you see you get some link like Kobe Bryant, but everything over here is looking like scattered and not really arranged. Now that's where Beautiful Soup comes to play. We're going to use Beautiful Soup to make everything over here look really arranged. Now let's just scroll down to where we were, and I think we've gone really far. So down here, what I want to say is soup. So I want to say soup is equal to bs, and I'll open up a parenthesis just like that, and I'm gonna say res.text. You remember we passed res.text that gave us this a whole bunch of code here. Now I want to set it to a variable soup, and it's gonna be Beautiful Soup should have res.text. Very easy. You hit enter. Now when we say soup, you see we get this really organized HTML code, and as you can see over here, it's ended it with body, ended it with HTML. Everything is looking really nice now. So let's go back to our views.py, and maybe you understood some things that we did over here. We got a response. Now as you can see, we got a HTML page that has some links in it. As you can, if you remember, we got one that has this Kobe link in it. So everything is working totally fine. Let's go back to our views.py and start working with some main things now. So before we go ahead and set a result listing, we want to define the same soup variable that we defined in our terminal, and this is going to be set into res.text, just like this. If you remember, that's what we did. And now we want to use lxml, so we're going to say lxml, just like that. So the next thing we want to do is go ahead and define a variable that's going to list in all the results that we have. So this is going to be result underscore listins. And very easy like that, we're gonna say soup dot find all. So in here what we want to do is add a div, a class, and we're gonna add in the value of what the class is. I know you might not understand it, but now let's go ahead and inspect axe.com and get the website div tag name, and that's what we'll be using to get all the data in it. So let's get back to axe.com. This is it over here. You want to right click and you want to click on view page source. So sorry, not view page source. You want to right click and you want to click on inspect over here. So let's give this some seconds and it's opened up. Now I want to take this pick tool over here. So we're gonna select an element. Let's scroll down, and I think we need this one. So when we hover on this box, I think we are not getting what we need yet. Let's see if we get some more. Okay, Okay, I think it's down here. So when we hover over here, you see that we get this div that says partial search result item. So this is for all these blocks here. This is for the first block, this is for the second one, this is for the third one, and so on. So what we want to do now is get everything that's in this block, and it's as easy as saying double clicking on this, copy this, then we're gonna come back here, and in here we want to say div, and that's because this is a div tag. We say div, then we're gonna add a comma, open up a dictionary just like that, then we're gonna say class, and this class is gonna have this stuff that we copied over here, the partial stuff, then we'll just paste it in here like that. Very easy. Now the next thing I want to do is get final results. So let's just come over here and say final underscore results, results. Let's just define that is going to be equal to an empty list. So take note, this is going to store all the final result that we are getting. For now it's still an empty list. We are still going to append something into this list. Now coming into the main part of this course, we want to go ahead and start getting all the data that we get from a search. Now what I'm going to do is I'll say for results, so I'll say for results in result listing. You remember what I said result listing was? Result listing is going to list out all the results that we have gotten from a particular search term. So we say result listing is set equal to this. Take note of that. So we say for result in result listing. Now we want to get all the results that we got in result listing. So just follow along with what I'm doing. I want to say result underscore title. So this is going to be for the title, and if you take note, this is the title over here. So I'll say result of title, and I'll send this equal to, and I'll set this to result dot find. So result dot find, just like that. You open up a parentheses, then in this parentheses we're gonna inspect and see what the title div tag has. So you inspect this, and as you can see, the class for that is partial search results item. So you take a close look, you see it's partial search results item, but there's more to it. So you hover on this. Let's come over here and hover on it. I think I'm not hovering on it, so we hover on this. The one we are supposed to get is the one that says title. So you take a close look, you see that we got this one that says title. Now you want to double click on it and copy, Ctrl+C, you could just copy that easily. Now you want to come over here, and in this parentheses, it's very easy, just follow along with what I'm doing. What I want to do is define class underscore, and I'll set this into a string, and the string I'm gonna paste in what I copied from here. Very easy, there's no biggie about that. Now I want this to have a dot text function at the back of it, which is going to help us arrange everything that we have gotten. So that's all we need to do for now. Now we need to define three more. So this is going to get the URL. If you take a close look, this is the URL. We want to get that one too, so we're going to change this to results underscore URL, and I duplicated this if you were asking how I did that. So this is going to be set to results.find. Now let's inspect the URL and see what class it has. So as you can see, where is it? Let's look for it. Okay, I think we have not found it yet. This is the URL. This is the URL. Now let's go ahead and look for it. So you see it has this one over here. We can go ahead and copy this, and we could use it in here, but I do not want to do that. I want to do something more strategic. So what I want to do in here is, if you know basic HTML, you will know that a link has an A tag. You remember that? So what I want to say is result.find, and find A. Wherever you see A, we want to get .href. So we want to get href. Now a basic HTML code is like this, h1. No, a basic HTML code is like this, A, and in this A you're gonna get href, and this href is gonna be set equal to like double strings like this. So href is where the link is actually stored in. So that's what I want to get. Now this is pretty much all we need. Now the last one is gonna be result underscore description. So result underscore description, then this is gonna be results.find. Now let's go ahead and inspect the description and see what class it has. So we inspect this description over here, and as you can see, it has this, which is partial results dash item abstract. So we copy this, we come over here, it's results underscore find, then there's class underscore, and there's going to be partial. So we just highlight all this and paste in what we copied, as easy as that, and it's gonna have .text at the back of it. Now finally, let's go ahead and append something to the final results that we created over here. So we're gonna say final underscore results dot append, and we want to append results underscore title, which is the first one. So firstly, before we do that, we want to open up double parentheses. So we're going to say result underscore title. We want to also append the URL. So result underscore URL. And finally, we want to append description. So result underscore description. So that's pretty much what we need to append. Now, we need to define a context. So if you know Django really well, you should know what contexts are in Django. So I want to define a context, and this context would be set to a key of final underscore result, and finally it's going to be set to final results. Now let me explain what I did over here. This is a key, this is a value. Now this final result is this one over here, and this final result now has the results title, the results URL, and the results description, which is this, the title, URL, description. So it now has all that. So I want to pass in this context into our HTML page, but before we do that, we want to say else. So this else is going to be out here. We say else, and we want to say return render, and this render is going to take in requests. It's also going to take in search.html. If you remember, we could just copy this one and paste it in here, search.html, and finally it's going to take in context. So he's going to take in context, just like that. So let's get rid of this, and what I think we should do is just push this in a bit, sorry, just like this. And there's one more thing I want to do. I think we should get an error when we run this. We want to get rid of this S, and we want to take this just here, and everything should work fine. Now we want to add else over here. So if everything didn't go the way it was expected, what do we want to do? We want to just pass in this one. So everything should be working totally fine now for the views.py. I think we are pretty done, but if we get any error, we'll still come back here and tackle it. Now let's get over to our search.html. Now in our search.html, if you take a close look, this is where our web results would be displayed. I already designed this, you don't have to do it, and again I already designed everything that you need. So in here I want to define from here. Let's go ahead and get rid of this. So I'm going to open up double curly brackets. So in here I want to pass in results.1. So we pass in results.1. So result.1 is what? If you remembered, result.1 is the first result that we got. This is it over here, the title. So that's the first one I want to pass in, result.1. Let's come over to search.html, and in here I'm going to pass in result.1 as the. So let me just do this and I'll explain it to you. So I passed in result.1 over here in double curly brackets, and this is href that's gonna have the title. So take note, this one over here is for this. Just take a close look at what I'm doing here. This one over here is gonna be for this. So if you take a close look, there's a href here which makes it a link. Now this link I wanted to redirect to whatever is the main function of this, and the main URL that this is gonna have is result.1. So let's come over to our view. You see this result underscore URL is result.1. So in our search.html, I want when a user clicks on this, it should take them to the URL, which is this one over here. If you don't understand, just follow up with what I'm doing, and maybe you should understand in a minute. So we're gonna pass in this, and in here I want to pass in result underscore 0. So I'm gonna pass in result underscore 0 in double curly brackets, and finally this is gonna be the description. So you could just pass in results.2, very easy, like that, in double curly brackets, results.2, and everything should be working totally fine. So finally, what I want to do is get for final results. So I'm gonna say open up this, then I'll say if final results. So I just want to open up this, this like that, and I want to say if final results. So I think we are getting an issue. Let's just hit insert and everything should work fine. Okay, so I'll say if final underscore results, just like that. Then I want to pass in a for loop. So this for loop is gonna go through all the informations that we got. It's gonna go through all the informations that we got and display them as a result. So I would say for results in final underscore results. So you open up double parentheses like this, and it's very easy. We're gonna say for results in final underscore results, just like that. Then we are going to execute all this in here. Then finally, let's go ahead and end the for loop. So we go ahead, we end for, and we end if. So we end for and we end if. As easy as that, and I hope we get no errors. Let's go ahead and check our terminal and see what's going on here. So over here, let's break this terminal and let's rerun it again. So we run our development server and it looks like everything is working totally fine. So let's open this up. Now in here, let's go ahead and search for something. So let's say we want to search for free code camp. Now when we click on Google search, what do you get? You get string indices must be integers. So we get this error over here, and that's because we said request.method, whereas it's supposed to be request.post. So we want to get the post of whatever the users imputed. So we're just going to change this method over here to post. It was a mistake, and let's get rid of this one. So we get rid of this. Now let's go ahead and run our development server, and everything should be working fine. So in here, let's go ahead and impute something. So I impute free code camp, and when you click on Google search, let's give this some seconds, and what do you notice? It brings up some search results just like Google for us, and everything looks really fine. It's just like Google. You've clicked on this. Let's say you want to click on this. It's to take you to an Instagram page that has the full data for free code camp and all that, and you can search for a lot of things. For example, let's search for Desphixs and let's see what we are gonna get. And as you can see, we get this stuff over here, and we get top websites to learn coding for free. I did that. And you get my YouTube channel, you get my Twitter handle, LinkedIn handle, and all this. So it's pretty cool. As you can see, we really have something cooking up over here. You could go ahead and tweak this around if you want. If you don't like this design, you could go ahead and tweak it around, do whatever you want. But for now, that's pretty much it. And hopefully you understood everything that we did here and really learned something new. And if you did, I would really enjoy it if you give this video a like and consider subscribing, as it would mean the world to me. And I hope I'll see you in the next video. But before you go ahead and quit this video, I want you to click on that and go over to LinkedIn and connect with this dude. He's really amazing at front-end designs. And in the meantime, mad love, peace out.